So you've been teaching for a few years and you're starting to think that you'd like to take your career to the next level. You're thinking about an MA or a Delta, but you're not sure which one is best for you. I'm Jo Gakonga from elttraining.com, and I know that this is a tough question. The bad news is that I can't answer that question for you. And in a short video, I actually can't even give you all the information you need. But the good news is that I can give you some thoughts about the relative merits of the two and point you in the direction of some useful websites for more information. Hopefully this will at least be some help in making the right decision for you. Why do another qualification? The first thing is that if you're serious about English teaching, then a further qualification of some sort is definitely a good idea. CELTA is great, but it was designed as an initial teaching qualification. It's only 120 hours long, so you should see it as a good starting point, and after that I'd suggest a couple of years experience is a good idea. After that, some more formal input will help to give you roots and wings in Julian Edge's terminology. That's roots in having a firmer foundation in educational theory and wings to fly further in this your chosen career. This was certainly the case for me. Let's start with my personal history. I've done both of these qualifications. I did the Delta fairly early on in my teaching career. I'd been teaching about 3 or 4 years at the time, and the MA TESOL I did a lot later, about 15 years later in fact. They're both level 7 qualifications on the scale of UK qualifications. They're both quite expensive and time consuming and a lot of effort. But for me, they were both brilliant and life and career changing. So if you're wavering, my advice would definitely be take the plunge, do it. What's the difference between them? Let's look at Delta first. The Delta is CELTA's big sister. It's accredited by Cambridge and usually, although not always, run out of private language institutes. It's in 3 modules. You can take them in any order and over as much time as you like. You can find out more information about these modules in the links below, as I said before, but in short, Module 1 is called Understanding Language, Methodology and Resources for Teaching. It's a snappy title, isn't it? It tests your knowledge about those things, and it's assessed by 2 pretty horrible 90-minute exams. Module 2 is a practical module called Developing Professional Practice, and that's assessed on your planning and your teaching in the classroom with observed lessons. One of those will be with an external observer. You have to write extended plans and reflections on these. There's a lot of writing in this module. Module 3 is Extending Practice and ELT Specialism, or there's an alternative version as well that's aimed at ELT managers. This is an extended essay where you choose a particular class and you essentially write a course for them. You have to do a needs analysis, design a syllabus, you plan the course, you plan the assessment. You can study for Module 1 and Module 3 on your own without a formal course, but I personally wouldn't recommend this. It's worth noting that what you need to learn on the Delta is generally more prescribed and much more standardised than the learning path on most MAs, and it's got a strong slant towards the practical, what actually goes on in the classroom. This is obviously particularly true for Module 2, the Assessed Teaching Practice. Moving on to a master's degree, MAs in TESOL or Applied Linguistics are often more theoretical. They certainly can be. They're made up of different modules that are usually assessed by extended essays, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 words. There's a lot of reading to do. And the final part is a dissertation, where you'll choose an area that's particularly interesting for you. You do some independent primary research and you write it up in a formal academic manner. with support obviously from a university tutor. The content on an MA is much more variable than the Delta, and there's often quite a bit of choice. So it's a good idea to look at the syllabus of the institution that you're interested in applying to make sure that it's got the content that you're interested in. I wanted to focus on teacher education, for example, so that's what I looked for. Having said that, there's usually the opportunity to tailor the assignments to a focus that interests you. For example, I did a module on spoken interaction, which was fascinating, and we had to analyse some talk. So I used an extract from a CELTA feedback session. It's also a good idea to be open to the new, I think. The things that ended up being fundamentally life-changing for me weren't the things that I expected at all. You can do an MA face-to-face or online, of course, and usually full-time in a year or part-time over a longer period. I did mine over 2 years while I was working part-time, and my experience was that doing it part-time was a good thing. It gave me more time to think about what I was doing, more time to read, more time to do my dissertation research. Just as a point of note, it's pretty hard to fail an MA if you're accepted onto one, as long as you put in the work and you don't plagiarise it. It's more than possible to fail Delta modules. So which one should you do? Well, which one you choose depends a lot on the kind of work that you want to progress onto. I'd say overall, for being in the classroom, Delta offers a reassurance to an employer that you can actually do the job in a practical way. So my feeling is that this is the one to do early on in your career. I'm very biased, of course, though, because that's the way I did it and it worked for me. You'll also need a level 7 qualification with assessed teaching practice. So that essentially means the Delta or the Trinity diploma if you want to become a CELTA trainer in the future. On the other hand, if you want university level work, you'll probably need an MA. And in some parts of the world, a master's degree carries more kudos than the Delta, I think. The best thing to do is to Google the kind of job that you want to do in the future and see what qualifications that they're asking for. There's obviously a lot more to say on this. I've put a whole bunch of useful links just below, as I said before, so check them out and see what others have got to say about it too before you make a decision. Good luck with whatever you decide, and thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful.